Welcome to the WMMA Math Podcast, brought to you by WombatSports.com. I'm Mark the Q. I'm your host. We've got a lot of news to cover, plus we'll have an interview with Alannah Arnett coming up a little bit later on. But first, let's get to some news. A lot of it deals with the popular female promotion Invicta. Invicta held its 39th card in Kansas City this past Friday with a very good main event and a really kind of interesting kind of scenario in terms of the atomweight championship. Jinyu Frey came in overweight since she was the champion. That title was vacated, and so she was going into the fight not being able to win her own championship back. Ashley Cummins, who did come in on weight, had the opportunity to be able to fight for the championship. But Cummins would come up short. She would lose by unanimous decision to Frey, and now the atomweight championship is vacant. Frey will now have to find a number one contender to face off with to fill that vacant championship. Alicia Zappatella made her case by winning a unanimous decision over Kelly Wildfire D'Angelo, as well as Lionheart Jillian DeCourcy defeated Linda F109 Mahalik by unanimous decision. In the co-main event, Miranda Maverick solidified her number one contender status at flyweight by defeating Pearl Gonzalez. She had won the Phoenix Series tournament just a couple months ago, and she was demanding a title shot. If not, she was looking possibly to move up to the UFC. In another exciting fight, Erin Blanchfield defeated Victoria Leonardo by head kick. It was the only finish of the card. It was an amazing display by the BJJ specialist to be able to show off her striking skills. She was able to actually land 3 head kicks in the fight. The final one finally did it in the second round, and she looks like an awesome prospect to look out for later on as well. Opening card, Monica Franco made her long-awaited return and got a victory over Christina Pettigrew. It'll be a quick turnaround for Invicta as they will have a Phoenix Fight Series card on March the 6th in Kansas City, as the main event will actually have the Bantamweight Championship on the line as Lisa Verosa faces Julia Strovolenko for the vacant championship. The tournament itself will see 8 different women vie for the championship with 2 alternate bouts. The combatants for the tournament include Autumn Norton, Brittany Victoria, Claire Guthrie, Erin Harp, Hope Chase, Carrie Kennison, Tanisha Tennant, and a returning Taylor Gerardo. You may remember Taylor as Taylor Stratford, the former Tuff-n-uff champion. Her only loss was to Ronda Rousey. In those aforementioned Bantamweight reserve bouts, Mary Mitzi will face Morgan Hickam, and Serena De Jesus will face Julia Ottolino. In 2 fights that will be non-tournament fights, Amber Brown will take on Sharon Jacobson, and Kay Hansen will take on Liana Perozin. Another unique portion of this card is the fact that this will be the first time in the United States that we could see open scoring on fights. What that means is that the judges will announce what their scores are in between rounds, so everybody knows if they're behind or in front or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of works out with the fights that are going to be more than one round. So we'll have to take a look and see how that kind of goes for this fight. It's a historic, to say the least. You guys can watch this on UFC Fight Pass. It emanates from Kansas City on March the 6th, InvictaFC Phoenix Series number 3. Over in the UFC this past weekend, there was a little bit of controversy as Lauren Murphy defeated Andrea Lee. There was a judge that was looking down at his phone during the fight, and in a close fight, which a lot of people thought that Andrea won, felt that this was kind of a little bit disrespectful as much as him not paying attention to the fight. I believe Andrea will be appealing that decision. In the co-main event of the card, Valentina Shevchenko retained her championship with a third-round TK over Caitlin Chookagian. It'll be interesting to see who they have Valentina face next. We have Roxy, that's right there in the top 5, as well as Joanne Calderwood. I think odds are that it's going to be Joanne Calderwood that's going to be getting the next shot. Currently, Valentina is going to be on a medical suspension for at least maybe 3 to 4 months. we might be able to see her come July card here in Vegas. On March the 14th, over in Spain, they're going to have an all-female card. AFL Valkyries will happen in Barcelona, which will air on FITE.tv. That's FightTV.com. The main event will see the vacant atomweight championship be decided as Combates veteran Vanessa Rico will be facing Brazilian prospect Emily Mota. We also see Elizabeth Rodriguez face Cage Warriors and Dana White's Contender Series veteran Nicole De Signy, with Andrea Meneses making her debut against Ryzen veteran Alexander Alvare. This fight plus another 7 will be on Fight.tv on March the 14th, so check that out. Mei Yamaguchi has a new opponent coming up on One Championship coming up on February the 28th. She will be facing the undefeated Denise Zambodaga, who is undefeated, also a Philippine fighter, so it'll be interesting to see how she does that. And that will be streaming live on BTR Live as well as probably YouTube, so definitely check that out as well. 2 fighters were let go from the UFC this week as Lucie Pudilova and Karina Feria have both been released by the UFC. Lucie in particular has tweeted out that she will be she's negotiating with a new promotion, and she should hopefully have news about that coming up a little bit later on. And that's pretty much all you guys' news for this past week. Coming up after the break, we'll be talking to Alannah Arnett, talking a little bit about her career as an amateur. It's a really up-and-coming strawweight prospect, and we'll talk a little bit about her win over at Tuff-n-uff this past December. We will be live at the Orleans Arena for Tuff-n-uff coming up on Friday. You can check out our Instagram at Wombat Sports and Twitter at WMMA News to check out some of the latest video and photos from the event. There's only one female fight that's going to be on the card as of now. Lacey Cope will be facing Laura Johns. Initially, Alannah Arnett was supposed to be facing off for the strawweight championship, but her opponent could not make weight, so that fight was scratched. So Alannah will be rebooked for another event, hopefully coming up soon over at Tuff-n-uff. But we did get a chance to talk to her last week a little bit about her background, a little bit about her win last December. We talked a little bit about her background in training and some of her old opponents as well. Her wanting to turn pro relatively soon as well. Really up-and-coming prospect as well, so I really look forward to seeing her live at Tuff-n-uff coming up. But like I said, we talked right before the announcement was made that that fight was scratched. So we'll know, so we mention it once in a while. But, you know, it's still an interesting interview with Alannah, and this is one gal that you're going to have to look out for. She'll be coming up to the pros, I'm pretty sure, at the end of 2020. So without further ado, here is our interview with Alannah Arnett. My next guest is one of the top amateur fighters right now at strawweight. She's currently 4-1. I had the privilege of seeing her fight with Anastasia Rags this past December. I was there ringside to watch her get that armbar finish. It's great to be able to have Alannah Arnett on with us right now. How you doing, Alannah?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, it was like I said, it was kind of amazing just to be. I was there physically. I mean, I was at cage side watching your fight this last time around, and you know, it was great to be able to see that as well. And it was under the wire. I think a lot of people sometimes don't realize that the Tuff-n-uff rules are 2-minute rounds, not 3-minute rounds. You know, how was it for you to, you know, try to get that sub right under the wire there in your last fight?
Well, I'm a jiu-jitsu player myself, so we were kind of, you know, coming out to the 2-minute rounds. You know, it's on a title fight, so then out to the 2-minute rounds, we were kind of thinking, you know, it wasn't in the game plan to try to finish on the ground. I mean, this 2 minutes is really set up more for the spectator, not for, you know, for a jiu-jitsu fighter or a ground fighter. There's not a lot of time to set up a lot of stuff. So it kind of, it really wasn't a plan. It was, you know, stand up and take control. I didn't think we could get it to the ground and get it done in 2 minutes. But when I mounted her, she was doing a good job of, you know, grabbing my arms and trying to control my arms. So didn't really have a choice. And I heard the I heard the 10-second thing go off, and I was like, well, here it goes. So I just figured I'd throw it up, and worst case scenario, to be the end of the round, but I wanted to try to get it done, so it felt good. It just wasn't the game plan, but it worked out.
I mean, how is that for, excuse me, how is that for you, prepping for that? I mean, do you, you probably, all of your other fights have been under 3-minute rounds as well. I mean, how was your preps for that fight, coming into the Tuff-n-uff where it was a shorter round? I mean, were you expecting to do more striking? Was it a situation where you had to kind of get to the ground quicker? Kind of what were your preps going into that fight?
I really thought that I was going to be striking the whole 2 minutes. I thought that we would strike for 2 minutes. It would, go to decision, and then, I hope to win the decision. I just, you don't see a lot of knockouts in my side, so I figured to be standing a lot. Again, not a lot of time to get things on the ground, but all I've ever done is 3 minutes, which kind of gave me, I was positioned for 3 minutes, so that helped. But yeah, it's definitely different. It's kind of hard to get used to. So,
I mean, fighting for Tuff-n-uff is definitely is something that kind of gets your name out there, especially. I mean, kind of how did that come about? Where you were able to fight for Tuff-n-uff this past December?
Really, I mean, my coaches are amazing. Dave Reeves and George Gurgel, are the coaches at the gym that I'm out of. George Gurgel Martial Arts in Cincinnati. Dave Reeves has set up all my fights while I've been here. I've been with them for about a year now. He's a really good, just kind of networker, good at reaching out and making the right contacts. I think, he kind of got my name out there in front of Brian, so I'm not sure how it all came about, but I know that he was the one that was kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes on the whole thing. I was super excited just to have the opportunity, so I mean, Tuff is a great show. They run it very well, not anything like an amateur show anywhere else. So I was really excited.
Yeah, having to go across country to be able to fight and to be a part of the Tuff-n-uff promotion. I mean, how was it for you to kind of just get prepared? I mean, weight cutting, crate cutting here in Vegas. I mean, that's obviously there. I mean, I think that Tuff does a really good job of kind of helping you navigate that. But how was it for you to kind of be out here in Nevada and just to be able to first of all fight pretty much outside of the outside of the area that you've been in, and just getting used to the fact that you may have to if you go pro, have to move to a different place and kind of adjust things in terms of your weight cut and getting ready for a fight.
Well, I think that's kind of the reason why we pursued something out of state, just to have that experience. Like amateur is all about getting the experience and getting ready to go pro. You start all over at ground zero when you go pro. So we wanted to definitely experience, I mean, the time change for one's a little bit different for us. It's a 3-hour difference. So, normally when I was fighting, I'd be sleeping. So it's kind of late in the evening. So that was something to adjust to. So it was good that we got there in time to adjust to that. And as far as the weight cut goes, it's a little different, not being, home and having the facilities that you're used to just go do what you need to do. It's a little, stressful to kind of get everything together the last minute. Also, like our supplements and things, you had to run out and buy for when we rehydrate. So it's kind of a learning experience. But again, like back to my coach, that everything's so meticulous and planned out that it's kind of something where you just find some sort of comfort in that schedule, So we know exactly what's going to happen. It's just a little hectic making it happen somewhere else. So it wasn't too bad, but it was definitely a great experience just kind of getting ready for the future, especially being a female. It's hard to fight pro locally, so especially as a smaller female. So I expect that I'll have to travel a lot in the future, and the experience was great.
Yeah, let's back up a little bit and let's talk a little bit about how you got started. I mean,